Reze is coming back. Chainsaw Man, Chapter 213 spoilers. Yoshida's final moments could signal the return of a character who just disappeared, just in time for a movie 2. Released on September 3rd, 2025, this chapter has 15 pages. The chapter begins with Denji being an idiot. First, when he thinks about death, he recalls how death opened up her skirt to reveal the hole on her belly, not her panties. That's why when Denji recalls the panties, he doesn't include the hole on her panties. Then he recalls Fumiko telling him to bring down death while naked from the photo she gave him. The idiot then says that he is a chick magnet, even though the series and Denji himself have been reminded of how thoroughly exploited Denji has been, both sexually and existentially. At least we are reminded that Denji is not a completely lost cause in this frustrating story, as Denji does remind himself that when women throw themselves at him, he is always tricked. Then he recalls the Fire Devil's words in Chapter 205, choosing between two options again. As it rains, Denji finds Hirofumi Yoshida standing outside in the rain. Death and Fami acknowledge his presence, with Fami having only one panel suggesting that she senses or knows what Yoshida is here for. Yoshida says he has come to see the school and expresses an odd gratitude. Thanks to Denji, he was able to attend school, something he likely couldn't do due to poverty or being an orphan victim of devils. In a way, this was a suitable role for him to play. Anyway, Yoshida brings pizza and drinks for Denji, but he doesn't partake, only enjoying watching others eat. A remark that reminds Denji of Aki, the man who took him into his apartment along with Power, his first ever real family. Yoshida recounts how Denji attempted to scare school delinquents with his Chainsaw Man form, intending to cut off an arm or two, but Yoshida intervened by knocking out their lights. Despite it being his mission, Yoshida found amusement in Denji's antics and felt grateful for Denji being in his care, as it essentially allowed him to become human for once. However, it's time to bid farewell, leaving Denji confused. Yoshida expresses gratitude for the time Denji spent in school and apologizes to him. However, he reveals that he now fulfills the role of the switch and detonates the entire school, trapping Denji, death, and famine within. The final spread catches us off guard. Over 10 pages of heartwarming male friendship or the realization of what won't be. The likely demise of Yoshida before the advent of war. Fujimoto once again surprises us with his ability to deliver one of the most tender, human moments in the story, only to disrupt it with a bomb explosion. It feels like we've finally returned to some genuine storytelling after a period of excessive action. Yoshida's tragedy or another deception. Hirofumi Yoshida is one of the most enigmatic characters in Chainsaw Man, intended to captivate readers due to his ambiguous origins and personality. No one truly understands his motives, except for his role as a public safety employee, using Denji to combat the Death Devil. Yet now, Denji is on Death Devil's side. Since he and Fumiko are collaborating, his final action is a desperate attempt to eliminate both Denji and Death, leaving the world's fate to the War Devil and the nature of human conflict. Considering the desperation, the comparison to Aki might be fitting since Aki sacrificed most of his life to defeat the Gun Devil, but ultimately became him. A tragic yet poetic end for an Avenger. Becoming a weapon of war himself, Yoshida might have played a similar role, but without a flashback or context. Perhaps we'll never see that, or he'll return in some form to haunt Denji. He mentions that he was given a role to look after Denji and attend school, describing it as a good one. This aligns with the idea of Yoshida being an actor with no real stakes beyond the script he receives from his masters, public safety, whose bureaucracy we barely encounter. Perhaps, in the end, he was still a pawn in the political system that sought to eliminate death by any means, from sacrificing 10,000 children to the aging devil to bombing a school, and losing their soul weapon against the War Devil. Given the current Japanese setting, where the War Devil is empowered and serves as a vehicle for American imperialism, her mobilization of forces to consolidate world domination seems apparent. Either way, this final act leaves us with more questions than answers. Is Reze involved? One lingering thread in Chainsaw Man's plot is Reze's absence in Part 2. While Kishibe is one thing, Reze's absence is surprising, considering that all the weapon hybrids, including Chuanchi, who works for public safety, are involved in the Chainsaw Man Church arc, unlike the other hybrids. All of the weapon hybrids, including Reze, were manipulated by Makima for the Controlled Devil arc, the final arc of Part 1. This fact significantly impacted their lives, particularly Baron Bridge, who harbored deep resentment towards Denji for killing Makima. However, another interpretation suggests that Baron's love for Makima renders him immune to her control. Interestingly, Reze is never depicted among the weapon hybrids who allied with the Chainsaw Man Church. Instead, she is only shown in a flashback during the Aging Devil arc in Chapter 183, Barfhead Perv. This could hint at her potential return, adding another layer of complexity to Denji's choices. Reze holds a special place in Denji's heart as his first love, and the upcoming Reze arc film promises to explore her significance further. It's worth noting that both Reze and Yoshida adopt a similar pose near their necks, although this may not be intentional. While Reze hasn't used people as bombs in a manner similar to Yashikage Kira from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, this possibility remains a possibility.